I don't get it. I've never been the type of comedian that's ever had time to not like another comedian based off of them being funny. You know what I'm saying?
What if they're not funny?
Still wouldn't hate them. That's even better. That now I don't even think about you. If you're not funny, like you're not even in the thought.
Welcome back to Comedy on 11, the show where I talk to my comedian friends about comedy and music. I'm Thom Tran, and one of my favorite comics and people to talk to, Kil Joi, stops by this episode to talk about comedy beefs, hip-hop beefs, and beef with broccoli, my second favorite Chinese takeout dish. We don't actually talk about that. Stand-up comedy dates are on my website, thomtran.com, including a couple of really cool shows that I'm excited about. So now, let's hit it.
So, comedy and music. It's like when you take an Asian kid from New York and you give him collard greens or chitlins for the first time.
Jin the battle rapper, yeah.
He's like, I don't know if I'm gonna like this. And then I try it and I'm like, oh, this is what's up.
You know, I've heard some Asian rappers actually that have came out over, I would say the last maybe 8 years. These kids are dope, man. Once you get a Chinese kid with some black culture, man, you got something going. And their voices don't sound Chinese either. They sound like, they sound black. They sound like black artists. Until you watch the music video and you're like, oh, this is a Chinese dude.
Yeah.
What the hell's going on here?
Where do you think that started? Far East movement or before them?
I think it started in Koreatown because there's a lot of battle rappers that come out of Los Angeles. Even so, a battle rapper that's actually a stand-up comedian. His name is Dumbfounded, but he's out of Koreatown. And he really embraced the culture of hip-hop and battle rapping. He was really renowned and well known for it. So, and then before him, you got Jin, the rapper, who was a battle rapper from way back when on the Smack tapes, when the original battle rap scene, you know. So Asian and hip hop mix just well. I like seeing Asians in hip hop culture.
I dig it too. Welcome to Comedy on 11, the show where I talk to my comedian friends about comedy and music. I'm Thom Tran. I'm here with my good friend Kil Joi.
Yep.
And I say good friend because we've hung out a bunch. I've seen you do stand up a lot. I think you are very funny. And I'm glad we've gotten to know each other in the scene, but I don't know much about you because whenever we see each other, it's like I'm on deck or you're on deck or one of us is about to do a set and we're getting ready for our thing. So tell me about yourself. Tell our listeners about yourself. Where are you from and when you started doing stand-up and all that?
Well, I'm from Omaha, Nebraska originally. I started doing stand-up about, I want to say almost 10 years ago. I was double dabbling in stand-up beforehand, but you know, when you actually got your arms around it and you're actually knowing what you're doing, that's kind of when I feel like when I actually started doing stand-up comedy. But yeah, born and raised out of Omaha, Nebraska. Been doing comedy long enough to really have a formula for it now, you know, as far as joke structure. I also battle rap, content creator, actor. I'm working on a few different TV shows with a few renowned comedians that I'm right now as we speak, actually. So yeah, a little bit of everything.
What's the comedy scene in Nebraska like? Because I can tell you, the first time I drove through Nebraska, I just stopped to fill up my car. And the place I stopped was in the parking lot of a Mexican restaurant. I was like, how is this going to work out? I'm starving. Oh, hi, my cat wants to get in on this.
I love it.
And that Mexican place was dope. It was fire for the middle of Nebraska. I was like, I was not expecting this.
I wonder what city you were in.
I
haven't even
Grand Island.
Okay, yeah, because I haven't ventured outside of. If it wasn't Omaha or Lincoln, I wasn't even really out in the other parts of rural Nebraska because it's definitely extra white out there. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, even myself, yeah. As far as Nebraska goes, I stayed within the city limits. If not Omaha, definitely Lincoln. So Grand Rapids, I stayed away from.
Okay. So what's the comedy scene out there like?
It's nice. I mean, when I first came up doing stand-up comedy in Omaha, it was a very strong comedy scene. I'm not exactly sure where it is right now. I only go back, you know, to visit or for work. But when I came up, man, it was strong. There wasn't a lot of black comedians in the comedy scene, though. It was definitely more so, you know, a white comedy scene. So when I came into it, I was able to kind of touch some subjects that other people couldn't touch. So people in my city were hearing jokes and material that, you know, they didn't hear from all these other comedians. Right. And then I was able to also represent, you know, the part of Omaha I was from, which is North Omaha, which is where all the black people are from. Okay. You know, so doing shows like that, I was able to help jumpstart, you know, black comedy in, you know, a state like Nebraska. Okay.
How did that influence your comedy? Was there a good mix in between like where you're from in Nebraska and where you were performing at, or did it vice versa? Did like how performing in those places affected your material and what you were doing?
Well, I would say being from Nebraska has been able to give me more of a wider variety of what I can talk about when I'm out of state, because a lot of people, once again, they don't believe a lot of black people are in Nebraska. So I have that kind of.
When you said you were from Nebraska, my brain genuinely went, get.
Yeah. That's typically what I get from everybody. People always ask the same question: there's black people in Nebraska. So being from that state, I was able to develop comedy and get comfortable performing in front of people, because, you know, when you perform in front of a lot of white people, man, and you're funny, you know, it gives you the confidence to get on stage out of town. You know, you have to really get the comfort of being on stage before you can really venture off and really do it in different states where you're up against people that are in a place where everybody's funny, you know?
Well, it's interesting you say that, because I feel like when I have to be funny in a room that's predominantly black, that gives me the confidence to get up on other stages. But when like I get up in a room that's, you know, what we call an urban room in the industry, I'm like, this is going to go really bad or really great. There's no in between.
No,
if it's a black
area.
room and you're not of the culture, it's gonna be a fight. But if you can punch Goliath in the mouth, yo, you're gonna come out stronger, and it's gonna be. I do this joke about like my girlfriend wonders where I get my confidence level from, and it's not from doing black rooms. I dated a black girl one time, and she called me the N-word in bed, and I was like, "That's where it comes from."
She calls you that in bed, man. You must be doing a good job.
That in the most complimentary way.
Yeah.
I've never heard a slur used.
Yeah,
and I was like, "That's what's up." I can do anything.
So you've been inside of black culture for a long time, then.
You could say that. When I married a blonde white woman, my family was like, "This is unexpected. We were not expecting this."
The next day after you slept with that black woman, you're like, you know what? I need to start a podcast about hip hop. I need to put this to work now. I need to make sure I keep this energy going.
So what moved you out to LA? Was it just the scene?
Well, definitely the opportunity. Really, you know, I felt like I reached, you know, the ceiling that I could reach in Omaha, Nebraska. You know, I'd done everything that I could do as far as developing myself for stand-up comedy. But I wanted to challenge myself more in the Omaha comedy scene. I felt like I had accomplished everything that I already could. You know, I won the competition. Yeah, did the competitions. You know, I hosted my own show, produced my own show for a year. You know, we were able to sell it out. I hosted my own TV show at the public access network in
like Wayne's
Nebraska.
World?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
What was it called?
Well, it was damn it, what was it called? It was Omaha, a stand-up comedy show.
Dude, I dig that.
Yeah.
I dig that.
Yeah. So hosted that, and that brought in, you know, a lot of the local comedians, and then we would perform, and the show was live, so you could watch it on TV within the public access network, you know, within Omaha.
That feels dangerous.
Well, I mean, at that point in time, you know, I had been in stand-up comedy so long that, I mean, they picked the right guy for the job. You know, I had a lot of hosting experience, a lot of comfortability being on camera at that point in time. So, you know, the idea of the show was to bring notice to stand-up comedy in the city, because a lot of people in the city outside of the Funny Bone, which is the main comedy club in Omaha, a lot of people didn't even really know that there was comedy going on anywhere else. So we wanted to bring a lot of notice to the fact that there were comedians that were coming up outside of the ones that were getting booked at the Funny Bone, which were the bigger ones that don't even live in, you know, in Nebraska.
Yeah, I mean, that is kind of the case in a lot of cities where,
right.
Like, even in LA, you hear comedy, you think the Factory, the Store, the Improv. And then most people outside of LA, outside of Southern California, they're like, they've never heard of the Ice House. They've never heard of Comedy and Magic. They've never heard of any of the San Diego clubs, which I can't even name right now.
Yeah.
Bad. I mean, Madhouse.
Got the Madhouse. There's a Laugh Factory up there as well.
Yeah, Mic Drop.
Mic Drop. Yeah. Mic Drop's a new one.
Colby.
Aw.
She's claiming you. Are you okay with cats?
Of course. No, I'm perfectly fine with it.
All right.
I'm glad she likes me.
Yeah, she's she's never wanted to be on one of the podcasts. Usually it's her brother.
That's funny. You're adorable.
So what was your first experience with comedy? How'd you get into it?
Well, I was filming a student film in Omaha with a group of local actors. It was a student project. And I'd always been interested in doing stand-up comedy. So I used to stay up late, watch it as a kid, you know, try to figure out exactly, you know, how these comedians got on stage and were able to memorize everything they were saying, which sounded like just a long monologue to me. You know how natural they were on stage. So I always had a love for comedy. Always wanted to do it. Scared to get on stage. Didn't know how to even start. Because when you're in Omaha, once again, it's not a big. At that point in time, when I was coming up, the comedy scene wasn't so big where you could go anywhere and perform. You know, you had to. It was like Hogwarts. Somebody had to tell you about it before you could find it. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And then once you got there, you're like, oh, this building's been here the entire time.
Right.
Magically out of nowhere.
That's
you know?
like old porno shops back in the 90s.
Seriously,
like, it was just a black brick building.
Literally.
And you're like, there's no signs. There's one door.
Yep.
You got to know the right.
Exactly. Password.
I only know this because I have no.
Of course.
I have no excuse.
I understand. No. You heard it. You read it in the magazine. I get it, man. Google search takes you a lot of places. I get it. But yeah, man. Doing the student film, there was a friend of mine, Preston Tompkins. He's a comedian out of Omaha, Nebraska. I think he's over in Denver right now. But he was doing stand-up comedy. And then he just asked me, if I ever considered doing stand-up because my character in the movie was extremely funny. And, a lot of those lines that I was able to do in the movie, I was able to improvise,
Oh, dope.
So they gave me a little bit of a free creativity with my character. And I was able to, this cat loves me, but I was able
He's
to.
taking over the podcast.
It's crazy. Now. But I was able to, really build a character that was extremely funny for the TV show or for the movie. So,
Colby, come here. Why are you being such an attention whore?
So Preston asked me if I wanted to do stand-up comedy. I told him yes, and he let me do it at this. There was like a local like a film festival going on in Omaha, and they were just looking for some talent to kind of open up the show. So the first time I did stand-up comedy was at a film festival. When I got there, it was all goths, like blacked out, black fingernails, all wearing black. But I'm young. I'm so excited to do stand-up comedy for the first time. I didn't care. I get on stage. I do my material. I got 5 people in the corner laughing. That's it. The rest of this crowd has no clue what I'm talking about. But in my head, I think I'm killing it. And the person who's running the show, she's dying laughing. So that is enough for me. And if any comedian knows, laughter is an extremely powerful drug, So once you get it, you're like, oh, I got to do it again. And that was the first time I did stand-up. And after that, over the years, I was able to kind of watch it and learn more about it before I really got into a point where I was doing it regularly.
Okay. Who were your comedy influences?
Dave Chappelle, off the bat. I used to religiously watch his stand-up comedy special before any show, Killing Him Softly. So my all-time favorite special.
When it comes to specials and albums, he has no misses.
No, zero.
Killing Him Softly.
For what it's worth.
Yeah.
He's got the 4 that he dropped on Netflix, which killed. Yeah. And he's even got a couple of old specials from when he was extremely young out of Canada.
Oh, out of Canada.
No, when he did what is it? What is the festival in Canada?
Just for Laughs.
Just for Laughs. When he did that piece, he did a special, a half-hour special on there, which was hilarious when he was extremely young. So he's got a lot of work. But you're right, he's never missed. He's been even the Chappelle Show. That sketch comedy really opened up the door for a lot of what people are doing right now. Even Key and Peele.
Chappelle Show turned that entire genre on its head. Because for the longest time, it was SNL.
Yep.
Mad TV for a while.
Mad TV for a little bit. Mm-hmm.
They had years where people were like, I don't even watch this show.
Yeah, you had to catch it late night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Chappelle Show came around and just turned the whole genre on its head. And then everybody, then you had Key and Peele, Mina Mencia, Sarah Silverman Show.
Got Black Lady Sketch Comedy Show right now, killing it. You know what I'm saying? Which is opening up doors for a lot of black women in comedy and black actresses. So yeah, sketch comedy is where it's at. You'd be surprised how many people came from sketch comedy and from improv, or from a stand-up comedy background that are doing serious movie roles right now.
Yeah, I mean, you always hear that comedians are better dramatic actors than actors are comedians. I mean, look at Bill Burr.
Bill Burr is a beast. He's a beast. Bill Burr is another one.
Doing Glengarry Glen Ross on Broadway?
Yeah.
Like that, when you hear Glengarry Glen Ross, the last person I thought of was Bill Burr. But he's killing it on that. He killed it on The Mandalorian. Yep. I remember the first time I saw him.
Breaking Bad.
Yep. The first time I saw him doing something that wasn't stand-up or wasn't comedy. And it was I just remember it was a bit part. I think it was on Law and Order SVU or something.
That was probably one of his first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was a jogger who found a body. And I was like, he even for like that bit part, he killed it. I was like, oh, he looks like he definitely.
Because I think all comedians, as a comedian for yourself, comedy all comes from a place of pain. It's hard to live a really a life where you haven't really gone through anything and become a stand-up comedian. Comedians are extremely dramatic people with extremely, I believe, fragile mental states. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Very fractured mental state. So it's easy to tap into those dramatic moments because it's easy to snap into that mindset of what you've been through in your actual life. And that's where a lot of actors, when you talk to or you watch a lot of solid actors, or you even get any kind of advice from them, they'll tell you those moments where someone's crying or they're breaking down, you have to tap into a very dark place in your past in order to tap into that.
Yeah.
Unless you're a psychopath,
there are
or a sociopath.
Yeah, comedians in general wind up being great dramatic actors.
Yep.
For exactly the reason you said, like, where the most depressed people are always the best comedians because it comes from that place of pain.
It's hard to teach comedy to someone who's not funny. It's hard to script. Being funny when it's scripted is even difficult because you really have to be able to deliver the material in a way that's going to be accepted by the audience, so they register it as funny. You know what I'm saying? So it's a Robert De Niro can't really tap into what a stand-up or would be, in a comedy movie. Right. But a stand-up could tap into a dramatic role like a Robert De Niro.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. You have to have that point that you can draw from.
Yep.
And not everybody has the pain that we draw from.
Very true.
Let's talk about music, man. How big of a part does music play in your life?
Big part. I'm an avid battle rapper, avid battle rap fan. Even outside, I know that's not so much music, but battle rap coming from the hip hop culture. Big rap fan, big R&B fan. So hip hop has influenced my entire life.
Okay.
Yeah, my style coming up. Yeah, love it.
Comedy or music, which one would you do if you had to pick only one?
If I had to pick only one, which one would I do? Damn, that's a question. I gotta go with comedy.
Okay.
I gotta go with comedy. Yeah, if I had to choose one. I feel like comedy is just my strong suit. I think I'm way stronger in the comedy field so I could reach more people and have an actual voice in comedy more so in music, because there's so much music and there's so many great musicians out there. You know what I'm saying? I can tell myself I can make extremely good rap songs. I'm a very talented rap artist, but when it comes to making music, that's a whole different aspect of the game. Really, there's a lot of rappers out there that don't know how to make a song. And that's why you have people where they are. You got your Drakes and your Kendricks, your J. Cole's, your Jay-Z's, and your Nas's. They know how to actually tell a story with their lyrics. So, but in comedy, I know the exact formula for material. I know how to tell a story with the jokes. I know how to tell a story through comedy. So, comedy's got to be where it's at.
That being said, when you wake up in the morning, what's the first thing you got to listen to? Like, is there a part of your life you can go through day to day without having music as a part of it?
No, there's not. But when I do wake up, I actually listen to the motivational speeches first. That's what I typically meditate on. Yeah, I listen to a lot of motivational speeches. And even when I work out, I don't listen to music. I listen to motivational speeches.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Who's your top motivational?
I don't have a top one, and I don't want to just throw out names that I know, because I listen to a lot of compilations of the speeches. So it's like an hour set of multiple people talking instead of just one particular person. So it gives me a nice mix of different motivational speakers. Sorry. But it pays. But the music, when I listen to music, that's the point where I like to relax and think. Music is something in my life that I use to break myself away from the rest of the world and be able to hammer down on something I'm either working on, or if I'm writing. Music is something that gives me focus, if you would.
So just like I feel like comedy is a way for people to get out of whatever they're going through at the time.
Right.
Like, people have a hard day, they got a tough time, they had a fight with their significant other, boss yelled at them, they got fired or something, they got to come in and just sit and listen to someone heal their soul.
Exactly.
For an hour and a half.
That's where I believe relatable comedy comes into place. When you tell a joke and you hear the crowd laugh because they can relate to exactly what you're going through based off of what they go through. And I think that's why a lot of people come to comedy shows. They want to hear about what they're going through in a way that you're presenting it to them.
Right.
You know, so they can. I go through that too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's the healing part. That's the part that touches people, and they can relate to the material, you know, that you're giving them on stage.
I think that's why music is such an emotional grab for people. You know, like, I was talking to, I think, Earl Skakel the other day, like breakup songs.
Mm-hmm.
You hear a song that you can relate to, you know, somebody broke your heart or you fell in love or whatever. Those are, you know, the Titanic theme song was the top of the charts for like 18 weeks or some crazy stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it was because people can emotionally be in tune with that.
Yep.
Do you have a song or an artist that you listen to when you hear it, or the artist, it puts you in a place? And what is that place?
I gotta say Nas, man. Nas probably the greatest storyteller as far as a rap artist goes. So I grew up listening to Nas. You know, I love Nas so much I hated Jay-Z for a long time. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to hate Jay-Z to like Nas. I didn't know that as a kid. You know what I'm saying? But I thought you had to pick a side.
Right.
So I said I hated Jay-Z for years, man. But then you're like, oh, you know, Jay-Z's not so bad. Right. Not so bad at all. Actually, I love Jay-Z, especially as an adult when you realize, you know, what both those artists in the way, the paths they took to get where they are, man, it's phenomenal to see two black men, you know, come up from where they came from and become who they are. So, but Nas is an artist that anytime I would hear his music, When I Rule the World, Nas is like New York State of Mind, all the Illmatic, you know, even down to the top, you know, beef song of all time in Ether, you know, Nas is always taken to a place where I felt I could be a rapper too.
All right.
You know what I'm saying? Anytime I heard him, I was like, oh yeah, man, I can do this too.
Bet. Describe your musical taste in one word.
Dark.
Dark. All right. Why would you say dark?
I don't know. I think that my mind comes from a dark. My upbringing comes from like a darker place. You know what I'm saying? So the dark music, it really resonates with what a lot of things that I've been through in my life.
Okay. Yeah. Totally understand. What's your favorite musical memory?
Favorite musical memory? That's tough. Favorite. Are we talking hip hop?
No, just in general. Like, I can tell you, like, I remember sitting on a train in Japan going from Tokyo to Nagano, and this was the early 2000s, so mini discs were a thing that they don't exist anymore apparently, and I only had room for one mini disc with me, and it was this album by a group called The Corrs, which are three hot Irish sisters and their goofy looking brother. I'm kidding.
That's hilarious.
And every time I hear a song from that album, or just like the harmonies of those sisters, I'm back on that train going through Japan. Colby, could you please settle down?
It's the hair.
I don't know what is up with her today, but you know, that's not necessarily my favorite. I'm a Prince fan, like clearly. I'm a Van Halen guy. I'm a hard rock guy, but you know, when I hear those songs, that's one of my favorite memories. Just sitting on a train, you know, going from Tokyo to Nagano.
You know, I gotta say, the best, and this is probably one of the best summers of my life, and this is when my sister graduated from high school, and my parents got her when my sister graduated from high school, my parents got her a Cherry Red BMW. We used to ride around with her, and we would listen to Nelly.
Oh, okay.
And so Country Grammar was actually probably, when I talk about like a point in my life where the music, like, when I hear the song, I can damn near smell the inside of the car.
Exactly.
You know, yeah, man. I know that's weird, but you know, I'm a little younger. But you know, Nelly Country Grammar was
so like 03, 02, 03?
This is I believe it's about she graduating in 2001, I believe. It's like 2001, something like that. Yeah.
Right around that time frame. But that's exactly what I'm talking about. You know, a song comes up.
Yeah.
It's an audio piece of artwork, but then you can smell the car leather. You can smell the barbecue. You can smell the dirt, the air, and you can feel the wind. Like
you can feel the sunlight almost. You know, special moments, man. Music really connects you to, you know, some really special times in your life. No matter if it was, you know, a hard time or a good time, music connects us to those moments in life. You know.
Yeah. How do you think music and comedy are connected, or are they not, or are they different, or are they the same?
I don't think music and comedy are connected, but I do strongly believe that hip hop and comedy are definitely one and the same.
Okay, why that disconnect between music and just that genre?
I think that hip hop and comedy entertainment just both touch people in the same exact way as far as relatability goes.
Okay.
There's a lot of music cultures out there that aren't meant to be related to. Like classical music isn't related. You can't relate to that. Oh man, the piano, I feel, what I'm saying? It's just good music,
Yeah, facts.
You could argue blues and jazz and things of that nature, but in my time frame, in the time frame that I grew up in, that wasn't the main culture of music. It was hip hop. And hip hop on top of that is the most influential music, culture right now. And comedy is the most influential culture right now, if you think about it.
Yeah.
And universally, people understand two languages. People understand music and they understand laughter, no matter where you are, especially hip hop. I think that hip hop and comedy both, they're more relatable to the world than anything else.
Have you ever met a funny musician?
Oh yeah, definitely. Tyler, Creator, hilarious.
Okay.
Yeah. Very funny. And the way he even makes music, I think that he started off more on the comical side, more the lighthearted side, talking about things that most people wouldn't. And it got him where he is right now.
Yeah.
So
do you have a current walk-on song, or does it matter to you what you're coming up on stage to?
No, it does matter. A lot of times you ain't really got a choice because you ain't really got the opportunity to really let the people know what you want to come up to. So a lot of shows I focus more on just getting on stage and doing the comedy. But when you have it set up and you can come out on stage to what you prefer, I do have a couple different songs that I want to come out to. I put it to you that way, because music is also connects us. If you watch comedy specials, a lot of times there's certain music they put in comedy specials that takes them back to that journey that they went through, before they come out on stage. And I believe that music plays a strong, part of when the comic is brought out onto stage. It gets you in the mode.
What are your go-to songs to get out on stage to?
Go-to songs to come out on stage to, I will have to say, "Hot" by Bobby Shmurda. I gotta say, "If I Ruled the World" by Nas. And the other, I'll tell you this much. The other 5 songs I'm not going to tell you because I'm planning on those being in my comedy specials. Okay. So I want people to be surprised by those songs. Okay. But I'll give you those 2.
Okay. Do you think it hurts you or the show or the audience's expectation when there isn't music? Like when you just come up cold and it's just clapping?
No, as long as you're funny, it doesn't matter. A lot of comedians, I would say more a lot of white comedians come out to nothing. Bill Burr doesn't really come out to music. Yeah. He comes out to the round of the applause, Bill Cosby didn't really come out to music. He just came out, dead tone, or he was actually already on stage and the spotlight would come on. He's on a stool.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's necessary to be funny. Mm-hmm. I think music is in black culture, in black comedy rooms, music is there to not only bring the comic on stage, it's supposed to set the tone for the audience. It's supposed to hype up and get your blood going in the audience, so that when a comic comes on stage, you're already amped and ready for it.
Yeah.
So, I think music does play a big part. I think more in black culture comedy than it does, in everything else.
Okay. I'm glad you brought up Cosby, because this industry, our industry, just like music, we are in the spotlight a lot.
Right.
And a lot of times comics, musicians also, especially, can get themselves into a situation where their public persona and their private persona they don't get mixed so well.
Right.
Can you separate the art from the artist, whether it's comedy or music?
Am I talking about myself?
Yeah, you personally.
Right. Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, the way that I act probably in real life versus how I act on stage or on camera, I think is polar opposite,
Okay.
So the character or who I am on stage is the outlet that I have for a lot of what goes on in my head, if that makes any sense.
Right.
So, who I am in real life, is a very, I believe, a different person. So when it comes to the comedy, the music that I make or anything of that art form, it's more so of a character that I play. For an outlet of, my thoughts or what I go through.
Yeah, I mean, totally understandable.
Mm-hmm.
And I completely understand because, like, I was a soldier. I was in the Army for nearly a decade.
Thanks for the service.
When people who I served with find out that, I was a comedian, or I am a comedian, they're like, how's this happen? How's it working? Like, I don't get how the super serious soldier is now a stand-up comic. So I do have I understand having two personalities, your stage persona and who you are in real life. But I mean, when it comes to Cosby, was arguably for a long time on the Mount Rushmore of comics.
Right.
But then not just his persona, but his actions and what he did. Same with R. Kelly. Like, I was talking to somebody the other day who's like,
yep,
R. Kelly is arguably one of the best R&B artists.
Mount Rushmore, R&B.
Sure.
Yeah.
And his persona on stage, I don't know, could you say his persona in the real world was different than his persona?
It's kind of the same. It's kind of the same. I've even seen some old R. Kelly videos where he's on stage like, as long as she's 18. I'm like, damn. He was right there. He was right. He throwing it right in our face. We didn't pay attention because he was singing it.
Yeah.
So in that aspect, can I separate the character from the person from the art? That's so difficult, man. It's really difficult. Because now when you listen to certain songs, it kind of makes you feel like he might not be singing to the right person.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It might make you feel a little dirty on the inside. Yeah, a little some way on the inside. So it's hard to separate, when someone shows you who they are in real life. Now you got to take that into account when it comes to their music.
Right.
If you heard anybody, if I heard one of my favorite artists was a rapist, I don't think I could listen to his music the exact same way that I would before, just because of the fact that as a human being, I can't respect a man who does something like that.
Yeah,
absolutely. So in that way, I can't separate the artist from the person at all.
Do you think it's harder with comedy when so much of our art form is being outlandish?
Right.
And, saying something on stage that pushes boundaries or pushes limits is one thing. I say outlandish, ridiculous shit on stage all the time. That's mostly why my girlfriend doesn't come to my shows, because she's like, this is not the man she lives with. Like, she knows who I am. But I say goofy.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not who I like. That's
the character.
That's the character.
Right.
Do you think there are comics or musicians or actors or people in the entertainment industry in general who become those characters? Like,
oh yeah,
they go, oh, I can get away with this because I'm saying or singing these things, and then they just go, hey, this is okay.
I think the best way to be upfront about who you are is through comedy. It's a way that can be accepted a lot. It's like a sugar-coated version of what a lot of people are thinking anyway. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, in that aspect, I strongly believe that someone can have a certain mindset on stage, but I think they're just representing an idea, that a lot of people might have. Right. And that might not be exactly who they are or, what they might believe in, but they're just the beacon for what a lot of people are thinking, I think that's with all comedians.
Do you go to a lot of concerts? Are you a live music person?
Not really, man. Honestly, at this point in time, actually, my entire life, I was never a live music person, honestly, because I was so focused on trying to be that, I didn't really want to go out and see it for myself because I was trying to become, that, if that makes any sense.
Totally makes sense.
So I didn't really pay attention I had artists that I specifically would listen to, that influenced a lot of my music, but I wasn't the type of person that would I didn't really want to go see them perform, you know what I'm saying, or staying around a whole bunch of people and listen to it, There's only one particular artist that I went to go see in concert, and that was Kendrick Lamar. Okay. So that's the only
Was that the pop-up?
Nah, that wasn't the pop up. Actually, that was when he was doing his his Damn tour for Kung Fu Kitty. And he actually came to Omaha, Nebraska, where I was from, and performed there, and that's why I went. So that's the only concert I've been to. Even though I have so many artists that I would love to meet and have a conversation with, but just going to the concert, I never wanted to be like that kind of fan. Okay. I've always wanted to be the type of person that at some point I want to get big enough where I can actually meet and talk to these people. Instead of being in the crowd where
you want to be a part of making the thing.
Exactly.
You're a creator. You're
exactly.
Speaking of Kendrick,
mm-hmm.
which beefs are funnier or more entertaining to you? Rap beefs or comedy beefs?
Comedy beefs are way funnier. I'll be seeing. Listen, I've had people beef with me. I've never beefed with a comic in my entire life. But I've had it on their side beef with me, and I've seen it. And even these days, I have friends in the comedy world that have have beef or whatever with other comedians. And to me, I'm just like, how? This is the comedy world.
How does somebody beef with you and you don't know what's going on?
I just don't see how people can be so angry over comedy.
Oh, I can see. I know exactly how it can.
Well, when I say that, I mean I can understand that part, but when it comes to me hating another comedian or having a personal problem with a comedian based off of just comedy, not based off of something that maybe this person did to me personally, that's different. That's a personal beef.
Right.
But I'm talking about in the comedy world, like comedians beef with each other based off of just being eating off the same plate or being in the same world.
I think that's ego, and it's ego, and it's jealousy, and it's feeling like you've worked so hard and somebody else hasn't. That's what that is.
That's exactly what that is. A lot of older cats believe that the younger ones that are coming up don't deserve, because a lot of people are stuck in the ways that things how they used to be ran.
Right.
You have to go through these different whatever the fucks in order to get to a place where you can be considered a comedian.
Right.
When now, I mean, people are starting to do things a lot younger. They're starting to take control. There's a lot more avenue for younger comedians to be able to come out and and tell their side. Comedy was once a very grown thing to do. It was a very grown place to be. Mm-hmm. Kids weren't allowed to really be.
Literally weren't allowed. Can't go to the comedy club.
Exactly.
Until you're 18.
So you couldn't even experience that. But now we're in a place where the young people can do whatever they want to, and a lot of older cats don't like that. You know what I'm saying? They don't like it. They don't believe in. They can't find anything relative to what the younger generation's even talking about these days. And when that young person ends up in a position that they maybe had not gotten to, even in their career now, they take it personal, and they end up not liking that person, So I don't get it. I've never been a type of comedian that's ever had time to not like another comedian based off of them being funny. You know what I'm saying?
What if they're not funny?
Still wouldn't hate them. That's even better. That now I don't even think about you. If you're not funny, like you're not even in the thought. You know what I'm saying? It's like why would I even put you in my brain space if you're not even in the It's like LeBron James beefing with a fan. It's like, all right, you're not even in the ball game.
Right. Who is your favorite comedy beef or music beef?
Favorite music beef. All right. Favorite music, most entertaining music beef, Kendrick and Drake. That's the most entertaining. That was the favorite all time, Jay-Z versus Nas.
Okay.
That's my all time favorite. But most entertaining, definitely Kendrick and Drake. I was listening to them go back and forth with each other for a week straight, and they was dropping songs every other day. So that was entertaining.
You want me to get into some nerd stuff with you?
Yeah, get into it.
So I got 3 cameras set up. We're gonna talk nerd. We're gonna talk nerd right now. So I got a 3 camera system set up, and I used to shoot all 3 cameras and then individually
edit
everything.
Yeah.
Because this auto switches, that takes that portion out. So I don't have to think so much about who the camera's cutting to. But also it individually saves each camera as an isolated file. So if I do need to cut to something else, I can go, all right, well, I'll just use this camera, and they're all synced up.
How much does that board cost?
$1,200, and it was
that's worth it.
Worth it.
100% worth it.
It has cut so much of my workflow. Oh my God, Colby, what is happening with you? Are never like this. Is this because Mom's not here?
That's hilarious.
It's cut so much time out of my workflow. So like I'm not sitting there like trying to sync up audio or whatever. It's great. I love.
You're working smarter.
Yeah. So the Kendrick Drake beef.
Right.
That's your favorite beef.
Favorite, most entertaining beef. Favorite Jay-Z and Nas. Most entertaining Kendrick and Drake. It was like the Great War for the top spot, if you would. So that was extremely fun to watch. And even a lot of people feel like they have to hate one or the other artist in order for this to enjoy a beef like this. You ain't gotta hate Drake. You ain't gotta hate Kendrick.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Just enjoy it for what it is. And on top of that, neither of these guys even know who you are or care about your existence more than likely. So why even put so much of your own personal into a situation that has nothing to do with you anyway?
Yeah.
Enjoy the beef as it is, for the art.
Have you ever had to open for a band? Or would you?
I've never opened for a band, but I've done a lot of hip hop and comedy shows.
Okay.
You know what's funny? Comedy and hip hop are so relative to each other, but I do not believe they work in the same format. Like, as far as like if you have a hip hop show with comedians, it never works. It never works. It never ever. I've been in a lot of shows.
Tell me more.
I've been in a lot of shows where I was the comedic host of rap events, and they want a comedic energy out there.
Right.
And unless you already Mike Epps or something like that, you weren't going to be able to come out to a rap audience and be funny.
Right.
Because their their mindset is already like, I want to hear this type of, I'm here to hear this.
Right.
They're not there to laugh. Yeah. And a lot of the people that go to rap concerts, they're a different kind of person. Right. When you go to a rap concert, you're there for the element of music. You're not there for jokes.
Right.
When you go to a comedy show, you're not there for the music. You're there for the jokes.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, music might have a big part. It might even be in your set, but they still want to hear jokes.
You know who described it really well to me? Francisco Ramos. He said, I'm going to paraphrase him this, and if you're interested, go to episode 2 of Comedy on 11 where he describes this. But he said, music and comedy, it's like eating pizza. If you go to a music show, whether it's a rap show or a rock show or whatever, you go, I want pizza and I want this specific pizza.
Yep.
I want cheese, pepperoni, olives, and mushrooms. That's the pizza I want. When you go to a music show, you want that pizza.
Mm-hmm.
But when you go to a comedy show, it's like, I want pizza, but I don't know what kind of pizza. Maybe I'll get cheese. Maybe I'll get the veggie. Maybe I'll get the meat lovers.
That's a great way to put it.
Comedy, it's all pizza. It's just a little different pizza.
Yep.
And when you go to a comedy show, you expect this buffet of pizza where you're like, I know the base of what I want is
the bread and the
dough,
sauce.
The sauce, the cheese, the stuff on top. That
Surprise
comes
me.
from the different.
But make sure it's good though.
Yes. Yes. What else he said? He said, but then sometimes you go to a comedy show expecting pizza and they give you Greek food.
Right.
You're like, what is this?
Right.
So that's the best
Send
explanation.
it back.
Yes. That was the best explanation anybody's ever, I've ever heard from anybody.
Very well put.
It's like, I want this kind of pizza when it comes to music. And if you go out for that pizza and then someone's like, they bring out a comedian and someone goes, hey, here's a Stromboli. For you.
It's exactly how it is.
It's different.
Even with the pizza term, when people go to a comedy show, they may not know what kind of pizza they want, but when they taste it, now they're like, oh, I like this kind of pizza now.
True.
Now I'm going to come back for this kind of pizza. Now I know this guy makes that pizza.
Let's stick with the food analogy. What was the last comedy show you went to? And you were like, I want pizza. And then they bring out a hot dog.
Oh, I've been a part of comedy shows like that. I've been a part of a show where I'm like, I got to make the pizza myself, apparently. So, yeah, it happens all the time. As much comedy as I see, it's a regular. You know what I'm saying? It's a regular avid thing that happens all the time. So, on the specific, I don't have a specific because it happens so often that I'm used to it. So, I try not to, keep it filed in my head, but yeah.
Okay. I know you got to get going soon, so we'll wrap it up quickly. Couple of final questions.
Of course.
Guilty pleasure song.
Guilty pleasure song? Freak on a Leash.
Corn.
Yeah.
All right.
Guilty pleasure song. When I'm on a highway, you know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody around me. I roll the windows up. I blast that Freak on a Leash.
All right.
I'll be on that.
What's your go-to karaoke song?
This is how we do it.
Okay. Little Montel Jordan.
Yeah, Montel J.
What's up? I play an acoustic version of that song.
Really?
Oh yeah. How you think I get black women?
That's hilarious.
Asian guy brings out an acoustic guitar and starts playing some R&B on the acoustic.
They weren't even looking at the stage. They heard you and turned around real slow. Saw it was an Asian person. You're like, oh my God.
The only quicker way to get panties to drop is to clean up after yourself at the gym.
And look, hey, listen. Black women like that shit, dog. They like seeing somebody that's in tune with the culture that's not black, bro. They love that shit, man. That's how white dudes be getting black women. They gotta be white, but they also gotta respect and be in tune with the culture just a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
All right, let's do a game that I play with comics at comedy clubs. I'm gonna start making my my guests play this game. It's called Finish That Sitcom Theme Song.
Got you.
I'm gonna give you a lyric to a famous sitcom theme song.
Let's
you gotta
do it.
finish it.
All right.
We'll start easy.
Okay.
No one has not gotten the first one.
Perfect. I hope I'm not the first.
In West Philadelphia, born and raised.
On the playground is where I spend most of my days. Sitting all back and relaxing, all cool and on, shooting some b-ball outside of school and that.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. This one might be a little harder.
All right.
Thank you for being a friend.
Thank you for being a friend. I don't remember the rest of that at all.
All right, I will give you that because you
I knew the tone. That's about it.
You could sing it. All right. God, this one, I didn't know this one was going to be as hard as it was. Almost never, no one gets this right. Only one dude got it right. And he was the whitest comic I'd ever met in my life.
Interesting.
Whatever happened to predictability? The milkman, the paper boy, the evening TV.
That's Family Matters.
Nope, it is not. Everybody thinks it's Family Matters.
Really? Same voice. Okay, so that's Full House then.
It is Full House.
All right, because I know they have the same. They have the same. Whatever happens,
like Louis Armstrong.
Yeah. Run it back. Give me it again.
Whatever happened to predictability? The milkman, the paper boy, the evening TV. Now the radio version, there's another line, but the actual TV version, which is what I'm going on.
I shouldn't have smoked, man. I shouldn't have smoked no trees before this. I do not know. I can hear the voice in my head, man, but I can't.
Everywhere you look,
everywhere you go. Damn it. It's all,
the heart.
Man, they riding the bikes on the bridge.
Yep.
How could I not? Come on, man. You should know this stuff.
All right, here's an easy one. They're creepy and they're kooky.
They're creepy and they're kooky. Damn it. It's the Addams Family, but.
All right, you get a half point.
Damn it, dude.
All right, this one's kind of iconic. I'll sing this one because I can never read this without singing it.
Fair enough.
Making your way in the world today takes everything you got.
What show is that?
It's Cheers.
I didn't watch Cheers. I'm sorry.
That's right.
I was watching Martin, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Saved by the Bell.
Okay. All right. The next two. Actually, yeah, the next two. This one's too easy. Too easy.
All right.
Fish don't fry in the kitchen.
And the beans don't burn on the grill. Came right up. Just get up that hill. Just get up that hill. But now we're up in the big leagues.
Getting our turn at bat. As long as we live in. You and me, baby.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
We're moving on up.
Damn.
You got the next line.
I got the essence.
Almost no one gets that next line.
Listen, I'm not gonna lie to you. The only reason why I even knew that is because of Nelly. I was rapping the Nelly in my head. Batter up. I was about to say batter up. I almost said batter up. I'm glad you picked up the end of that. I was batter up. I'm the first to swing.
All right. All right. Last one.
All right.
It's a rare condition in this day and age.
Family Matters. It's a rare condition this day and age. Newspaper? Is that the word?
That word's in the line. It's a rare condition in this day and age to read any good news on the newspaper page.
God dang. Yeah. I can't remember Family Matters now, man. I'm not smoking before a podcast anymore.
Where's your black card? I'm gonna take it. Is it right here? I'm gonna take that.
He gave me Cheers and the Addams Family.
But you didn't get Family Matters.
I didn't get Family Matters. No one listens to the lyrics for real. They just listen to the tone. Whatever happened? That's all you really remember.
Hey man, this has been so fun. Thank you so much for coming over. I look forward to having you on the show. I don't know if this is coming out before the show, our show. Maybe it will. Maybe I'll just move stuff around. May 12th at Flappers Comedy Club.
We're there.
The Trantastic Friends show.
Yep.
I think I just named it that. May 12th at Flappers. Kil Joi's going to be on it with a bunch of other comics. Where are you going to be coming up?
Let's see. Coming up, I'm actually going to be on the road with Keenan Presents. I'll be in Chicago on May 1st. Then we'll be back in Atlanta on May 8th. And in Vegas back in Omaha, Nebraska on May 31st.
All right.
So, yeah, those are the next 3 coming up, man.
Where can people find you on the interwebs?
Please follow me at KILJOI_LL. All right? Find me. I really could use the followers.
You had to start over.
I had to start over.
Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Remember to follow us on the interwebs. I'm at _Thom Tran, THOMTRAN. The show is at Comedy on 11 Pod. New episode every Tuesday. We're doing the List Show again soon, maybe. I think I'm gonna be on the road a lot. I'm banking a lot of these episodes because I'm going.
Nice.
I'm on the road basically until the middle of June.
Nice.
But yeah, new episodes all the time. Tell a friend, share the episode, like the episode, and keep the laughs turned up to 11. I change that every week. I still don't know what I'm saying.